Today I'm going to be speaking on exactly what I do as an executive producer and showrunner within reality television. It's a very different job title than scripted. Unscripted versus scripted television, scripted versus unscripted productions are very different. And every day people ask me, well, what exactly do you do as an executive producer? Do you have money? Can you fund my project? Or do you have people working for you? Are you a financier? All of these different types of things people ask me on a regular basis, and I can't just say, oh, well, it's reality TV, it's unscripted television. It's not the exact same job title. And so, of course, as a executive producer, as a reality TV show producer, I still have, to deal with financing. I have to deal with managing partners, managing crews, managing editors, hiring, firing. I have to put out fires. One of the biggest things is putting out fires. We have a cast member to a show. We have somebody that we're working with on a project that is going through some issues, that's having some issues, whether it's a contractual issue, whether it's a personal issue, whether it's an issue with somebody else that's on the show. So we put out a lot of fires. And we work very closely with the cast. As a showrunner, a normal executive producer, a quote-unquote executive producer, is not, that's a financer. An executive producer that's financing probably won't even be seen on set. You're not going to see them. You're not going to hear from them. They're very far behind the scenes. And one of the reasons for this is that they're paying for things. They are that person. They are the financial partner to a show. These are the executive producers that make our lives possible and that make what we're doing possible for us to be able to move forward with productions, are these executive producers that are financing the project. Now, as a showrunner, as an executive producer that I am not financing projects. I do not have the money. I do not have the capital. I am working very closely with executive producers that do. I am the gateway to them, so to speak, because I'm responsible for doing preliminary budgets. And these are 18 to 25 pages. Some of them have 100+ line items. And this is just preliminary. Hey, we have this show. We're about to do it. This is how much it's going to cost. Getting the budget approved first, then getting the cast approved second, are things that I'm having to do. So I'm having to bring in the cast. I'm having to bring in the project. Hey, I have this project. I created it. Somebody else created it. This is the cast, potential cast. These are applications. And getting those things taken care of and saying, hey, this is the project. For instance, Boss Bodies. Boss Bodies was a show that I created, ironically enough, in my car, driving to the north side of Houston. It was a long drive. If you know how big Houston is, it was a long drive. And I just came up with this concept about a fitness show. I placed an ad on Craigslist, started casting it before I was even out of my car to my destination. 8 months later, we're about to premiere Boss Bodies. And that was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of development. So I was meeting with different people. I was meeting with different owners of gyms. I was meeting with different trainers. I was meeting with different people that trained and went through 50+, 60+ people just casting it to be able to get my core group of people for Boss Bodies. Then once we understand the people, we know the people, we're able to be able to start creating a show, start outlining a show. And I outlined the show, created the show structure, the temperament, the feel, the emotion, and then I was able to pitch. I was able to pitch to an executive producer the show. These are the people that are going to be in it. This is what the show's about. This is what it's going to cost to do a pilot. Then at that point, I was greenlit. We went into pre-production. Then we went into production. We filmed 5 days, so to speak. 3 days of actual production, filmmaking, and then 2 days of confessionals. Couple of hours here, a couple of hours there doing photo shoots, so on and so forth. And then everything goes off to the editors. I send off my outlines, I send off my notes, I send off hundreds and hundreds of pages to the editors. And then we start building something from what we have. It is unscripted. It is reality. These cast members are able to say and do anything that they want, or do nothing at all. They can just sit there and look at the camera if they want to. It's totally up to them. So once we have it filmed, we have to then build it. We have outlines for shows, and we would, in a perfect world, want things to go a certain way. It's not up to the executive producers. It's not up to the producers on what people are going to do, what people are going to say. So just as much as we try to make a good show, we need our cast to make a good show. We need them to give us something that's entertaining. At the end of the day, as an executive producer, as a showrunner, my job is to sell toothpaste, to sell tampons, to sell cars. We're making a vessel that advertisers want to put their advertisements in. And that's all we're doing by building a good show and being able to entertain the audience. We're able to then get more advertising dollars. We're able to get commitments by advertisers for shows that we haven't even done yet. And so it's very important that we understand who we're working for and why we're working in this business. So another thing, budgets, financing. I build a budget. We try to stick to it. The thing is, we're going to go over budget on almost every project, and it might be 10%, it might be 15%. And normally we put that preliminary 10% buffer into the budget just because we know that we're going to go over. We know that things are going to pop up. We know that things are going to happen that we cannot predict. Our job is prediction. And part of that is knowing that we're not going to be able to predict everything. And that's what that additional 10% that we normally add to the budget as a contingency line item statement. If we go over, do we have this money here? Yes. Yes, yes. Being able to foresee what's going to happen, being able to work with the cast members, being able to work the budgets correctly, and then execute all these game plans, everything that we have, paper on top of paper, plans on top of plans. We actually have to make that happen. We have to bring that into reality and make a show. And then piece that show together and edit it and get it ready for people to view it. And these people viewing it, they're not audience members. These are other executive producers. These are other suits, in essence. And they're saying, hey, we like your pilot. We like this commercial advertising your show. We love it. We hate it. Change it. Here's a contract. Then we go into production. We get greenlit for production. It's really just starting over again. We change the outline of the show. We change the theme of the show, whatever they need. And if we're lucky, we get a production contract. We sell the show off. And if we're lucky, we get a production contract, so we get to stay attached to it. Some of us get to stay attached. We get to keep working on it. And the show's just not out of our hands. If we're not, we sell the show and it's gone. It's somebody else's baby at this point. And somebody else's problem, somebody else's headache. These cast members that you work so diligently with to procure and to manicure, to be who they are, somebody else has to work with them now. Somebody else is going to be producing them now. So when we're on set, we're producing talent. I'm not a director. That's not what we do. There really is no director in reality TV and unscripted television. There really is no director. There are producers, but we're not telling people what to say. We're hoping that they give us a good scene. We're hoping that they're energetic. We're hoping that they have a lot of liveliness and personality. And we're hoping that there's conflict. Without conflict, television doesn't sell. It doesn't matter what it is. Every show, every movie, everything. There's some conflict. There's something that is keeping the cast from getting over this hill. They're going to get over the hill. Regardless. It's always going to happen. They're going to get over the hill. Then from that point, we work more and more with the cast, and we really just try to make sure they're comfortable, that they're at the right locations at the right time, they're properly dressed, they're properly attired. Some people see my job as babysitting, extensive babysitting. It's not, but it could be considered babysitting to a point. From that point, we get everything filmed, and we do a production budget. So at this point, It's not preliminary. We've actually been spending money. We're not guessing. And so we have this budget. We know exactly where we're at. Every day, I'm entering in numbers. I'm digitizing receipts. I'm spending money. I'm keeping people up to date. I'm sending off emails to my executive producers, the financiers. This is where we're at. This is what we've spent. I'm sending off dailies. This is some of the footage that we've gotten. These are how the scenes are developing. These are our cast members and how they're looking on camera. I'm keeping them in the loop. I'm communicating with them because they have committed to these projects financially, and they just need to know what's going on. And so there's a high level of transparency, an excessively high level of transparency, high level of documenting everything, or documenting, a high level of documenting everything, and really just being able to make sure that they're comfortable and that they're happy and secure in their investment so we can continue going forward. If they're secure, you'll get more money, you'll get more budgets, you'll be able to continue moving forward. And that's one of the main things is transparency. Then from there, we go into editing. We see everything. We understand what we have, and so we send off all the footage to be transcripted or transcribed. And it literally gives us the paper version of everything that they're saying. We start building the scenes. We start building the episode for the pilot or the season, you know, and that information then goes over to the editors and the story producer and then the editors, and they're just bombarded. They're bombarded with hundreds, thousands of pages of transcriptions. They're bombarded with notes. We're constantly sending them notes. They're bombarded with talent profiles and all these other things. And their job is to really sift through it. As the story producer, their job is to sift through it. As the lead editor, their job is to sift through it and really be able to bring the story to life. Because this is real. It's not scripted. In a scripted movie, these directors and these editors have life so easy. They're just editing to the script. They're reading from the script. Once the script's written, everybody's job is so simple. Reality is totally different. We never know what's going to happen. People get fired from their real job. People have children. They get pregnant. People get arrested. People have family members that pass away, and it pulls them away. Real life is happening, and real life is always affecting their character and who their character is. And those are things that we have to be able to adapt to immediately. If you're coming from the scripted world and you're coming into reality television, unscripted television, you really have to just turn your mind off. And you have to reset it and say, hey, on scripted, they're going to do this, and they don't have an option, and they have to listen to the director, and they have to listen to us, blah, 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 blah. If you have that mindset, don't get into this business. Do not get into this business. They will run you ragged. The cast will run you ragged. They're going to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it. And the producers, our job is to make sure that that's as manageable as possible and as entertaining as possible, and it's as good as possible. Selling toothpaste here. So it needs to sell toothpaste. Then from that point, as a showrunner, we have an edited project. You know, we've gone over draft and revision after revision. We're on revision 22, you know, and we like it. Now this is what we're going to use to pitch. I'm a little different. So I have public screenings. And so I'll rent out a movie theater and I'll say, hey, this is going to be in River Oaks Theater. And I invite the cast and the crew out, of course, and I invite the media out, and I invite different people out and say, hey, here's a free event. Come out. It's a free event. Please enjoy this. Please have a good time. And we show it off, and we start getting some backing. We start hoping that the project grows legs on its own. Of course, social media and other things like that are just standard operating protocol. But I'm pitching the show to the audience. I'm pitching the show to people before we pitch the show to executives. Because if you can prove anything, if you can prove in this business that there's a following without any big money behind it, without any big names, without any big networks behind it, then you're a player. You're getting conversations. You're getting people talking to you. You get 1 million views on your pilot on YouTube. That right there is the #1 selling point of your show. people already like it. And that is the number one selling point. And so I'm I'm a very young executive producer. I'm a very young showrunner, and I do things a little differently. Um, I don't know if it's good or I don't know if it's bad. I'm not a part of the good old boy system, so to speak, within this business where I'm able to write a show. I'm able to put a couple of pages together on a pitch deck and get it picked up before we even started filming. So there's a lot more work that I have to do. There's a lot more steps that I'm having to go through to get to that point where I can make the show and I can get greenlit for a season. And all in all, that is what I'm doing as a showrunner. So it's from inception to pitch. It encompasses this entire thing. And so, as my bosses like to say, I'm boots on the ground. I'm a suit that's on the ground. I'm boots on the ground. And that's really what it is. As an executive producer that's showrunning, as a showrunner, I am a suit that's on the ground. I'm in the ditches every day. 1 o'clock in the morning, cast member has a problem, something's changed, I'm getting the phone call. Day in, day out. There is nothing that is happening that the showrunner is not really a part of, outside of the legal, outside of the high-end negotiations for selling the show. I might not be a part of some of those conversations. My bosses will, our lawyers will, our agents will. And I'm not necessarily a part of every conversation. But overall, I'm involved with everything that's happening at one point or another. My name is Alexis Robbie. I'm an executive producer and showrunner for Esquire Entertainment, LLC, based here out of Houston, Texas. We specialize in creating and producing unscripted television. Thank you for your time today. God bless.